Hello, hi, and welcome to everyone. I'm Mike Adams, and I'm Chief Exec of Purple and the creator of Purple Tuesday. And thank you for joining us today for Purple Tuesday 2021, celebrating best practice for disabled customers and our panel. And I think it's great that our first webinar that hasn't been done either in my office or in my bedroom. So I'm absolutely delighted. And for those of you who are with us this morning, we absolutely, although it was chilly, we set Piccadilly ignite. We absolutely did. And it looks though social media is on fire. So we're going to continue that today. And we are live from the Mayo office, exclusive Landsec offices in central London, who are our hosts today. And we are delighted to be joined by a representative from each of our sector partners, who will be sharing an example approach for disabled customers as they encourage you, our listeners, our participants, to adapt your own businesses. And today is about celebrating the changes that organisations have made in the last year and the changes that organisations will make for the next 365 days to ensure that disabled customers have the experience they want, need, and absolutely deserve. And I'm also delighted to be joined by the Minister for Disabled People, Health and Work, Chloe Smith MP. I would invite the Minister to say a few words to highlight the role of business and the government's ambition to be more disability inclusive. And we really hope that you find the session to be informative, practical, and interactive. So please do share your questions in the chat function, and we will try to address these, as many as we can, when we come to the end of the panel discussion. So now I'd like to introduce the Minister for Disabled People, Health and Work, Chloe Smith, MP.
Mike, thank you very much indeed, and good morning. It's fantastic to join you and to see the success that's already been achieved with your work this morning at Piccadilly Circus. So a great well done to you and everybody who's been part of making that happen. Mike, I'm really pleased to have been recently appointed to be the Minister for Disability, Health and Work. And I'm especially pleased to join you today because I think today is a really important event in the calendar for disabled people, for business leaders and for wider society as well. So I've only been in this post for a number of weeks, but I'm already in awe of what you've achieved, Mike, and all the leadership you've put in to make sure that Purple is able to play this role, inspiring so many to be part of something that is so much. And a big thank you as well to all the other partners and participants and ambassadors watching today. Purple Tuesday is a fantastic annual initiative, and I'm really pleased to join you to support it and highlight it. I'll certainly be making sure that my small contribution on social media echoes that through the day as well. The figures around Purple Pound, the spending power of disabled people and their families, are immense. £274 billion, rising 14% per year. Yet we know that although some businesses are starting to see the potential of accessing that market, there are still many that haven't. And it's time that all businesses see value in their disabled customers and their families and ensure that their products and services are accessible as possible to all. Indeed, our National Disability Strategy recognises that there's huge potential for action in this area. As a first step towards fully accessible products and services, the Cabinet Office's Disability Unit, which I lead, is undertaking substantial research to better understand the issues which affect disabled people when trying to get into the private sector products and services. So we'll start by pinpointing which things are least accessible and why. This will help us then target future work to enable disabled people to have equal access to products and services in all aspects of everyday life. So I'd like to take that opportunity to reaffirm the government's commitment to improving disabled people's everyday lives. Everybody should be able to participate fully in society, whoever you are, wherever you live, and most importantly, whether you have a disability or not, visible or invisible. We are committed to taking action to create a society that works for everybody so that we can build back better and fairer, and levelling up opportunity for disabled people. So that's why we published the National Disability Strategy, but also another paper called Shaping Future Support, and our response to the Health is Everybody's Business consultation. The Prime Minister has made clear that the National Disability Strategy is a down payment towards the aim of building back better and making life better and fairer for disabled people. That strategy has over 100 cross-government commitments with around £1.6 billion worth of funding attached. It represents the most comprehensive, action-oriented endeavour to improve disabled people's everyday lives, and it goes really broad. It goes across shopping and jobs and housing and transport and education, and culture, and justice, and public services and data and evidence. And that is why I think it's so valuable, why it's relevant to today's work of Purple Tuesday. So I'm focused relentlessly now on delivering that vision. We look forward to highlighting more progress as we go and publishing our annual report on that next summer. But that strategy echoes Purple Tuesday's call to action, beyond government, across society, to businesses, to citizens, to local authorities, and many others. So today is incredibly important. Many across society have a role to play if we're to fully unlock the vast pool of talent that is the energies of disabled people. Let's create that society that is richer and fairer for us all. So thank you to Mike, thank you to all you've done. Thank you to everyone who's listening, who's a part of this, and let's do it more.
Thank you, Minister. And I think simply put, absolutely. And to make things easy, what we're now going to do is go round the panel and ask each of you to introduce yourself, your organisation, and your best practice example you would like to share today. And we will begin with Keith Metcalfe from our headline sponsor, eBay, who is on my left.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Chloe. Hi, everyone. Keith Metcalfe here from eBay. I'm sure you know all about our organisation, but at its core, eBay is all about empowering economic opportunity for all. So it's a real privilege here to be sharing the stage with all the other partners and the Minister and Mike, because we believe in accessibility at our absolute core, because that's what we're all about. At eBay, we've had for the last 10 years a dedicated team who think about nothing but the accessibility of the platform. And so they are kind of working on a number of different things, but it goes without saying it's a continuous journey. There's never an end point in terms of improving the eBay marketplace or e-commerce more broadly to make sure that it's accessible for people with disabilities. And I'll talk about a few things that we've been doing, but also that we want to encourage all retailers with an online presence to be doing as well. First thing that I think is really important is that we've injected into the culture of the business the fact that we think about accessibility in everything we do. Everyone who joins the eBay organisation has training about accessibility so that it's something that they're thinking about as we develop new products and features. I was on a call a couple of weeks ago where I was part of a team pushing for some text to be made red to make our customers understand that something was really important. And I was actually really pleased to be pushed back on that when they said, well, actually, this would go against our colour contrast principles that we have for accessibility. And that ended the argument. And that just shows that the eBay culture is all about that empowering economic opportunity for all people. Some tangible changes that we're making as an organisation, or tangible technical things that we've been putting in place, include making sure that we have keyboard-only access throughout the site, so that those who aren't able or choose not to use a mouse are able to navigate the site and find what they need. We also make sure that wherever icons or images are used on the site, that alternative text is available so that those with difficulty seeing are also able to access the platform. We also need to partner with the sellers that make eBay what it is to help them understand that as well. We had the privilege of having Mike speak at the eBay Open event in Manchester as our keynote speaker a few weeks back, just to try and get that message across, because we know that we've got lots of sellers who are really passionate about the same things that we are. We also make sure that anywhere where we ask customers to fill forms in, the elements within those forms are really easily labelled so that people can understand, especially those with cognitive disabilities. And then like I said, this isn't just about what happens on eBay. We want to make sure that some of the developments and learnings that we've had are made available more broadly in the e-commerce environment. That's why we've made some of our eBay mind patterns, and you can find out all about these at ebay.com/accessibility, are made open source so that we can give the customer with disability a consistent experience when they're shopping on eBay or on other sites as well. But we don't have all the answers internally at eBay, so we conduct regular audits of the site. That's where I first started working with Mike and Charlene at Purple. We did a UK specific audit of the eBay website and mobile applications, so we could understand where are we going wrong, where is there still room for improvement, all as part of that continuous journey that we're on. So thanks for the feedback that we got from there. We're also open to listening to our seller community. We're joined today by a fantastic entrepreneurial seller called SoFab Sports. Dale and Chris from that have joined us today because they're part of this journey. They create opportunity within their workforce for employees with disabilities, and the feedback they give us around what works on the site as a seller and what doesn't is really, really valuable as well. And that's part of our 300,000 community of eBay sellers within the UK. So thank you very much for the privilege of speaking today and being the headline sponsor for Purple Tuesday.
Thank you, Keith. And I would like to introduce Peter Gibbonson from Standard Chartered Bank.
Hi everyone, it's a privilege to be here today and thank you very much for the invite. I'm from Standard Chartered Bank with lead sponsors from the banking sector. Standard Chartered Bank, we employ about 85,000 employees across 120 countries, speak 160 different languages within our organisation. I think the world is facing unprecedented challenges, whether that be climate change or inequality, social and financial, and I think that has a disproportionate effect on people with disabilities. So we're absolutely committed as an organisation to be disability confident. And we talked a little bit about why there are financial reasons that makes sense, but I think it's also the right thing to do for our clients. I think it's the right thing to do for our staff. I think it's the right thing to do for our communities. And I also think it's the human thing to do. So we've launched internally in 2018. We launched a disability assessment, and that looked at accessibility. That looked at inclusive processes, infrastructure accessibility. It looked at client accessibility, things like what did our systems look like, what did our processes look like, how accessible was our banking for disabled people. And we also looked at our communities, because I think it's really important that we look at how do we engage with our vendors and suppliers, and how do we engage with our communities. Some of the things that we're doing that are, and when I talk about disability as well, what I wanted to say is I think it's really important that we look at it from a broad spectrum. We look at it from physical disabilities, we look at it from invisible disabilities, we look at it in terms of neurodiversity. We do a lot of work around mental health and mental health awareness as well. And, you know, it's a broad spectrum. I think it's very important that we consider all of them. So some of the things we've done, some of the examples, we have talking ATMs in almost all our locations now. We have click to chat for customers, so that helps in terms of mobility issues and people don't have to go into branches. Our customer service team in Taiwan, that's staffed entirely, including the manager, by people with visual impairments. We've got a lot of work going on in India in terms of deaf-friendly banking, but we also do a lot of work internally. I'm involved, I'm a co-chair of the employee resource group around disability and wellbeing, and we think it's really important internally that we raise awareness. We have a lot of events around awareness and around breaking stigmas down. So I just wanted to say thank you everyone here today. I think this is fantastic. I think disability is the unspoken discrimination that happens all the time, mostly inadvertently in organisations, and I think it's more important than ever that we raise it, people are aware of it, and that we break those barriers down and we break those stigmas down. So thank you everyone.
Thank you, Peter. Now I'm going to go to Chris Pogwood from Lansec.
Well, hello everyone, and thanks for allowing us to be here today. So my name is Chris Hogwood, I'm from Lansec. We're a commercial real estate business. We own and operate offices like the one we're in today, which hopefully everyone is feeling quite comfortable and relaxed in, and various retail centres across the UK. And we also own and operate Piccadilly Lights, which was the start of our the launch of today. So I wanted to talk about a few best practice examples, if I may, if you'll indulge me the time. So I think our head office is one where we've really championed disability and access, and actually working with the Purple Partnership, we've established what we call our hand-in-hand network, which is our disability employee network that really governs and drives our disability strategy. But I think perhaps the biggest impact we can have is actually through our centres or through our offices like this one. But I wanted to really focus on some of our retail centres in particular. So how people experience Landsec actually starts even before they come to one of our businesses. So they might visit one of the many websites that we have that promote our commercial centres. So, for example, Blue Water, and across all our Landsec websites, we've embedded the Recite Me toolbar, which is about improving accessibility to our content for people either with visual impairment or neurodiversity and so on. So that right from the get-go, it's an easy and accessible experience for everyone. Obviously, then when you come to the physical space, we think about those spaces in depth, and we really want to make them as accessible and welcoming as possible. So that's not just in the malls themselves, but also actually how we work with retailers, physical retailers, to make sure that their stores are actually welcoming and accessible for everyone. We do lots of different things across the centres to try and promote inclusivity. And actually, as someone who's relatively new to our business, it's something all our centre directors actually really champion. Whenever you go and visit, one of the things they always point out is the different little things that you might not notice, whether it's the quiet hours or the sunflower lanyards and so on, that really kind of promote that sense of everyone feeling welcoming here. And I think one of the things that underpins that approach for us is actually how we think about the people that use our centres. So we're talking a lot about customer experience here today. Actually, we think of the retailers as our customers because they're the people who effectively have a commercial relationship with. The people that come into our centres, we think of as our guests. So I think if you stop and think about what you want your guests to experience, you want them to feel welcome, you want them to sort of feel that they can take part in everything, and you probably want them to have a good time. And as soon as you start thinking about those people as your guests and you're welcoming them in, all of these things make perfect commercial sense as well as sort of driven by our sense of values and purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And now can we introduce Tim Fallowfield from Sainsburys.
Yeah, hello everyone. And I've got to say, first of all, that it's a real pleasure to be here again with Purple Tuesday and like to celebrate this excellent event. So I'm Tim Fallowfield from Sainsburys. The first thing I'd just like to say, I mean, we want to be the most inclusive retailer where all our customers and colleagues, suppliers feel comfortable shopping and working with us. And we have a really broad reach, obviously. So 200,000 colleagues, 25 million customers coming through the doors and shopping online every week, and thousands of suppliers. So we have the opportunity to sort of create some change here if we can really do something to improve our culture. So it's a journey we're really on. And the first thing I'd like to say is that we believe that actually leadership from the top is really important in relation to making the change we're talking about. So at board level, we talk about every aspect of inclusion on a regular basis. I'm the board sponsor for disability and carers and have been for a number of years. And you know, really pleased with some of the initiatives that we've helped to roll out that you can now really see that others in the organisation, particularly store managers and store colleagues, have taken on the baton to think about how they can provide really fantastic service to customers with a disability. So we want to provide great service every day, and so we spend a lot of time actually reminding stores to make sure that their hearing loops are working and their Motability scooters are charged and they know where their wheelchairs are. One of the things that we listen to from our colleagues is that although they're very comfortable providing great service to customers with visible disabilities, that they wanted a bit more help from us in relation to how do they interact with people who've got invisible disabilities. And of course, as we know from statistics, the majority of people with a disability have got a disability that isn't immediately visible. So really important that we think about them. And we started working with Gatwick Airport, who I think were the first major organisation to roll out the sunflower lanyards, believing that actually if we could offer these to our customers when they came into the stores, and they could provide some additional reassurance that we were there to provide some extra support if they needed it. And the first thing we did was we trialed that. We trialed it in 12 stores to start with, and we took feedback from colleagues and customers, and then we trialed it in another 50 stores or so, and just to make sure that customers really appreciated that, and the feedback was really positive. But we developed our ideas as we went along. So I'm glad to say that Sunflower Lanyards has been a resounding success. I think we've now produced over 600,000 sunflower lanyards for use in Sainsburys stores. And we hear from customers that they really do provide a little bit more reassurance that if customers, particularly with invisible disabilities, do need some help, then our colleagues know that just to keep an eye out for them. So delighted to see that during the pandemic that effectively the lanyard became the unofficial sign of people who had an exemption from wearing masks. So the lanyard is now generally accepted as something that is there to provide some additional aid and assistance for those in particular where their particular condition is not immediately visible. So that's the thing that I think that we've taken that big step, but I think the key message is this is something that we need to think about every single day, providing great service. And if I think every organisation can think about leadership from the top, I think that's really important. And a final plug for Disability Confident. We're Disability Confident leaders. We're really proud of that, and we think that that's a great scheme that every company should think about as a visible sign that they are really taking disability seriously and want to make some progress. So thanks for the opportunity to speak, and carry on enjoying Purple Tuesday. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Tim. And now I'm going to introduce Valeria Luma from SHL.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity to be here and to present what we do at SHL to increase inclusivity, not only internally, but for all of our organizations. So as a company which provides people insights, we definitely do understand and appreciate how important it is to create and develop best practices for hiring and developing talent, and appreciating how important it is now to recruit neurodivergent talent pool. We also know that there is no enough empirical research in data to help organizations to promote this fair assessment and development of their talents. So we decided recently to launch our neurodiversity research program, which we're really, really proud of, and it's one of the first opportunities to present it. And we hope it will help everyone across the globe, and we might be the first organization to actually set up this agenda and understand what this best practice means, which was very, very challenging because there is so many things that prevent from collecting important data. Is obviously we know that people who are looking for a job, they are really concerned with regards to disclosing any special needs they might have or disabilities because they're scared of being discriminated against, etc. Also, a lot of adults, they are not really aware of being diagnosed with a certain disability or neurodivergent condition. So their results being mixed with the general group of people who are considered to be typical. So there is so many things that we have to consider, but understanding that we are one of the biggest companies, we have so much access to volumes of data, we decided to take this responsibility and move forward. So we are now collaborating with our clients as well as with different academic bodies as well, with Florida International University. And we've also recently hired a new member of our research team to work full-time for us and help with neurodiversity as well. And we definitely do encourage everyone who's listening online and all people here to contribute and to help with our research because we are moving forward very fast, and we are hoping to publish some results next year in 2022, even though we already have some preliminary findings. And our two key projects at the moment is, first of all, to understand how neurodivergent people perform across different sort of assessments and compare the scores. And the second project is to understand perceptions across different kind of assessments, what might be easier and what might be maybe less stressful to deal with. And the goal is to create fair assessments in order not to go for accommodations. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Valeria. And now I introduce Mark Webb from the Reflect Agency.
Thank you very much for the invite, and thanks for a wonderful day. I'm glad it's warmer now than it was in Piccadilly Circus this morning. So I represent a brand new agency. We are a D&I, diversity and inclusion influencer agency. We're there to represent all flavours of diversity. So what have we done for the disabled community so far? Well, not a lot, because we just launched. What I'd like to just point out already is the first thing we've done since launching is attend this event. And when, I'm aware, I try to speak, I'm a disabled person. I don't know how far the camera goes down, but I'm in a very sexy wheelchair. It was so proud a moment to me that after launching, the first thing we do is to attend to the most neglected and the largest minority by attending Purple Tuesday. So I'm very proud of that. Secondly, I volunteer my time in Reflect as a shadow board member and advisor and social media floozy. I'm really proud that the growing board, as we recruit a few more people, is actually disabled people heavy. You just don't get that in many organizations. And that just makes me so proud. We do need to set that balance better, and we will be looking for other flavors of diversity to join the team. But it's such a proud moment to me that we're top of the agenda rather than an afterthought. And in terms of influencer can be a bit of a stodgy word now, can't it? But I want to see me and neurodiversity and invisible disabilities represented across all types of media. That's not the case now. It's quite hard to find stats to actually match up to where we were, but I found a random one this morning. If we agree that we are about 20% of the population, I found that in Australia, roughly 3% of people on TV are disabled. Now, that's just not right. I want to see us reflected. There was some more surveys out there that say Generation Zers, the Zoomers, I think that's between 1995 and about 2015, want to see diverse talent on telly. That's not just disability. I'll talk for all diversities, but I, selfishly, being in a wheelchair and with an advanced disability, I want to see more of me. I want to have the opportunity to be the next James Bond. Not going to happen, but it would be lovely to think that if casting and presenting and interviewing and podcasting and social media influencing could include disability, well, we'll have made a step forward. And just as a disabled person, I want to just reiterate what everybody here has said already. We are your customers. We are your potential employees. We are your employees. We are your listeners. We are your readers. And it's a win-win. It's not just a moral imperative to look after disabled people. It's actually a lost business opportunity. And I can't wait to talk to all you influencers out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Now we're just going to pan around the room till we come to the other side. And next we're going to introduce Ross from Visit England.
Hi, I'm delighted to be here today representing Visit England, the national tourism agency for England. We really are delighted to be the joint tourism sector partner with Visit Scotland for this year's Purple Tuesday 2021. Purple Tuesday championing the disabled customer experience alongside the tourism industry, who are working really hard to deliver the government's ambition for the UK to be the most accessible tourism destination in Europe by 2025. Pre-pandemic, the Purple Pound, it contributed around £15 billion to the England tourism economy each year. And we're really keen that more fantastic places to stay and places to visit can actually benefit from this huge market. But the industry is made up of mainly micro and SME businesses, and we understand the ask on accessibility can sometimes be quite daunting. So we've worked in partnership with a group of stakeholders called England's Inclusive Tourism Action Group, and created a whole host of guidance for tourism businesses, case studies, tips, toolkits, and the like. And what I'd like to share briefly today, if I may, is 10 top tips from that group for the tourism industry. The first one is about training all of your staff in disability awareness and ensuring that they are familiar with the accessible facilities, services and equipment that are available at the business. Second is to always welcome assistance dogs. Thousands of people rely on assistance dogs for their independence and confidence. It's really important that we welcome assistance dogs and their users. And number 3 is asking customers if they require any assistance with evacuation in an emergency, particularly when staying away in a hotel or a guest house. People's safety can be their biggest concern. Number 4 is thinking about your website. We've heard about this from other champions. Ensure your website meets accessibility standards, and all written communications with customers are available in a range of accessible formats. Tip 5, providing accessible ways for disabled customers to give feedback, acting and responding promptly to the comments. So gathering the views of disabled customers can really help business owners to provide inclusive tourism experiences. 6 is about parking, providing sufficient accessible parking spaces at your venue. Really important to have at least one designated parking bay, accessible parking bay. 7 is about including images of disabled people in your marketing. So ensure that your photography represents the true diversity of your customer base. Tip 8 is about appointing someone called an accessibility champion and also encouraging accessibility ambassadors throughout your organisation. So having a champion that can really lead on developing the accessibility of the business and champion throughout the organisation, we see that working very well. 9 is about ensuring, very specifically, emergency pull cords, those red pull cords that are often in hotel bedrooms and also in bathrooms, that they hang all the way to the floor, because often people misunderstand their use and they get tied up, seem to be put out of the way, but actually they become useless. So the red emergency cord should hang to the floor. And finally, top 10 is all about the importance of your information. Provide detailed and accurate information on your accessibility. And for tourism, there's something called the Accessibility Guide, and we have a tool on our website that businesses in England and Scotland can use to create this free accessibility guide. So top 10 tips, there's a whole host of other guides on our website. If you go to visitengland.org/access, tourism businesses can find a wealth of support. So thanks again for having us today.
Yeah. Thank you, Ross. And now introducing James Green from Eastside Community Homes.
Well, I'm delighted to be here today representing Eastside and the housing association sector. Housing associations provide 6 million homes across the country that are affordable to people that need them. Eastside, we're a new housing association established last year. When we were created, we became the biggest community-led organisation in the country. And at the heart of our community-led ethos is the insight that it's our customers who understand their lives best. So our whole approach is about building meaningful relationships with our customers, understanding people's lived experiences, and actually involving our customers and our communities in the co-design of services and approaches that meet their needs. And we do a huge amount as a housing associations around disability inclusion, whether it's around making our services accessible, whether it's around the adaptations people need for their homes, and that's everything from grab rails to wet rooms. And it's incredibly important to us. We know that if you have a disability, you are more likely to live in social housing. 29% of our customers have told us that they are disabled. But that work that I've mentioned really is just the basics for us. We have an ambition to be sector leading when it comes to our work around disability inclusion. And we believe that starts at home, in our own offices with our own teams. And that's why we've kicked off a new mentoring program called Just Being You, where every single member of our senior staff is being mentored by a number of members of staff in the organisation who has protected characteristics. So that might be age, it might be ethnicity, it might be disability. So for example, Sharon, one of our executive directors, is being mentored by Reese, who is one of our managers, has vision impairment, and she's just hearing about the lived experience of somebody with a hidden disability. And that's already brought about some really positive practical changes to the way that we work as an organisation. Things about screen sizes, around making sure our offices zones so it's easier to navigate, just looking at our job adverts to make sure, to really challenge ourselves to think, does this job really require a driving licence, for example? So it's been really exciting seeing the practical changes that come around through those conversations. But actually what's been even more exciting is to see the cultural change that we're starting to see across the organisation, how those conversations are leading to wider conversations about how we do our work across Eastside. So we're now reimagining our approach to service design. We're getting a completely new design standard for our homes. And at the heart of that approach is the insights from people like Reese, but also just putting diversity, equality and inclusion, including, of course, the experience of disabled people at the heart of our approaches. And we're taking that community-led approach to doing that. So involving disabled people from the very outset in co-designing those services with us. So last thing I want to say is that, yeah, we're really ambitious. We want to be sector leading when it comes to our work with disabled people. It's one of the reasons why we are so excited to be involved in Purple Tuesday, and great to hear some of the amazing best practice from outside of our sector, which, to be honest, we're going to nick and bring into our own organisation so we can make a real difference to the lives of our disabled customers and our disabled staff as well. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And now I'm going to introduce Anna Holland from Gilbert Mayor.
Hi again, like all my peers, thanks so much for having us. Myself and Gilbert Mayor are really excited to be part of this. I'm really proud to be working in our sector to change the way disabled people have an experience. Gilbert Mayor is a recruitment business, so we work within social care, healthcare, life sciences and specialist education to help recruiters find the expert talent in the industry. And from that perspective, we feel like we've got a real responsibility to work with our clients to make sure not just our business is disability inclusive, but also with our clients to make sure they are, and they're more open to hiring some people from the disabled communities. So that's our main approach, really. That's our best practice, is to work with them and ensure that their practices meet our shared values. So what we do is to constructively challenge any inclusive or restrictive criteria in our role profiles that we receive, and ensure all advertising materials are very inclusive in their language and in their imagery and in their words to open their roles up to the disability community in saying that we are equal opportunities. We also have tools on our website, which means that they can access all the things on our website with accessibility tools, so they can change it from dark, they can increase the size of the font and everything. And it means it's more accessible in job search as well. Any jobs that we have on there, people can really read and feel included and feel open to applying to those roles. We put diversity and inclusivity in disability, but also across all spectrums at the heart of our client projects. And we make sure that any exclusive workplace practices that we see from our clients are challenged and are changed with our work with them. So yeah, we feel that making these changes and having this impact in small ways, we can pave the way for all our clients, but also our competitors, to change the way they work and to make disability employment and in the hiring process, much more effective.
Thank you, Anna. And now introducing Jonathan Freeman from the CareTech Foundation.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mike, and everyone for the opportunity to be here today. So yes, I'm representing the CareTech Foundation, which is a grant-making foundation that champions and promotes the social care sector, those in care and those working in care. But I also represent Championing Social Care, which is a cross-sector group that's come together to highlight the incredible positive contribution that social care makes to society. And we took a decision earlier this year to partner with Purple to say that we need to do much more around the consumer experience and experience of those with disabilities as staff members, but also those in care. And you've heard from Anne just a few of the ways we can do that. And put that into context, the social care sector employs 1.5 million people. It represents 5% of the UK workforce. That's twice the size of the agriculture sector. That's more people than are employed in the NHS. But at the same time, as government knows well, 120,000 vacancies in that sector. So we have a huge moral imperative to resolve that crisis. And a very, very simple way we do that is really recruiting better. You've heard some great examples of how we can do that. But underpinning all of that is just about being flexible, reaching out to the people that you might not have considered before, and thinking about your recruitment processes so you can really involve everyone in that experience. And then also beyond recruitment, supporting those individuals with disabilities to stay in work, to enjoy it, to thrive, to get that promotion. And it doesn't take much, it just takes a bit of time and effort and a bit of thinking around that. And I'm going to put a shameless plug in for Purple. If you're not signed up to Purple 365, a really great resource that especially smaller providers can access to really understand how they can go forward on this journey. Sign up now, because a lot of the people in social care have found that incredibly useful resource. But the second half of this campaign has been thinking about those supported through care. We all know the huge number of people that receive that social care, and it's a growing industry, it's a growing sector with so many people, both the elderly population but those with disabilities, be that physical or learning. And at the heart of what we're trying to do in this campaign, in our engagement with Purple, is to put those individuals at the heart of how they receive care, to make sure that they are in control of that decision, that they're not passive recipients of care that is given in some paternalistic, patronising way, but they're actually driving what they need to enable them to thrive and to be as independent as possible. And at the heart, that's just about listening to people, putting them in the decision-making process. So in the social care sector, we hear an awful lot around person-centred care, and what we are trying to do is make that a reality, not just a slogan.
Thank you, Jonathan. And now I want to introduce Ruth Rabbe from the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Lanyard.
Thank you. And thank you again, like everybody did, Mike. And yes, I have warmed up from this morning. It was a tad fresh out there, but anyway, thank you for having us. So the Hidden Disability Sunflower it's been great to hear it mentioned several times by some of our partners here today, so it's really good. So what is it? It's a discreet way for somebody to indicate that they have an invisible disability. It's difficult for others to recognise and understand the challenges faced by somebody who has an invisible disability, because they're not immediately obvious and affect each person in so many different ways. Supporting people with invisible disabilities is our priority. As we know, 1 in 5 people in the UK has a hidden disability, and of those, 1 in 5 people in the UK have a disability, and of those around 80% are hidden. So that's nearly 11 million people in the UK. These include your employees, your colleagues, your family, and your friends. We are dedicated to helping businesses nationally and globally to identify their colleagues and customers who have a non-visible disability and become confident to provide them with additional help or assistance. This could simply mean giving them more time to prepare or process information, using clear verbal language, or allowing them to be accompanied when they need to be. So, how can the sunflower help? In a recent survey that we did with the sunflower community, 90% of sunflower wearers said that they would be more likely to visit a shop or business that recognises the sunflower. 95% said they would recommend a business that also recognises the sunflower. And over 80% agree that businesses who recognise the sunflower are helping to make their organisations more accessible for people with hidden disabilities. This clearly demonstrates the commercial value of recognising the sunflower. As has been discussed today, research has shown in the UK businesses lose approximately £2 billion a month by ignoring the needs of the disabled customer. And 75% of disabled people have walked away from a business because of poor customer service. And this has to change. By recognising the sunflower, your business raises awareness and supports people with invisible disabilities, so they are confident in the knowledge that they will be supported when they need to be. This encourages sunflower wearers to visit your business, which in turn enables your revenue to grow. The more we all understand about invisible disabilities, the more we can help to improve the lives of people who experience them. We have recently created a sunflower space that allows our sunflower community to come together and connect. It is a space to be heard, to listen, and to be informed through our articles, our sunflower stories, and our conversations. You can bring your business to life through photos and demonstrate how accessible you are as an organisation, and tell your story and reveal your events to our sunflower wearers. Alongside the sunflower training we provide, you can now have the opportunity to explore how you can support your sunflower wearers and consider adjustments that you can make for your colleagues and customers based on their specific invisible disability. And we also firmly believe that websites should be available and accessible to everyone. And we're continually working towards improving the quality and usability of our own, so that it is accessible to the widest possible audience, regardless of circumstance and ability. This work is never complete, but we have made progress in 2021, and visitors can personally adjust our website's design and UI to their individual need. So just to conclude, our goal at the Sunflower is to make the invisible visible. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. And before we move on to our next speaker, I just need to come back to Mike for just because the minister.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the Minister for attending today and being part of this Purple Tuesday webinar. You will not need me to tell you just how magnificent and widespread and deep what you've heard today across so many sectors of organisations of so many sizes, supporting disabled customers with every impairment. And we have a fantastic base in which to move on and really transform and improve the experience of all disabled people in the UK and beyond. And I think I speak for everyone in this room that we are absolutely committed to working with you over the coming weeks, months and years to deliver Purple Tuesday and equality of opportunity for every disabled person. So thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me, and I wholeheartedly agree, and I can't wait to do it. So thank you. Have a good rest of Purple Tuesday.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we would like to introduce Dougal Hose from Smartbox.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, likewise, great to be here. So Smartbox are the sector partner for assistive technology. So what do we do? So Smartbox is a company that creates technology that enables disabled people to communicate and live more independent lives. So there's quite a few buzzwords that get bandied around discussion around disability, and I think it's quite useful here to sort of tell a bit of a story about some of the people we support and the technology and how it can benefit people. So yeah, I've been in this sector, assistive technology sector, for nearly 20 years, and the only part of my career was spent traveling the country, meeting different disabled people and helping match their needs with different bits of technology. And as I said, that would often be with an aim to help them communicate or help them live more independently. And I have met, doing that, some absolutely incredible people all over the country and abroad as well. We serve people internationally. And I think it's a really good way to illustrate the point by describing someone I met. So a guy called Mike, is a guy who was about early 30s, lived down in Devon. And this guy, Mike, he'd lived a fairly normal life up until about a year before I'd met him, when he was diagnosed with motor neuron disease. So many of you will have heard of motor neuron disease, but essentially it's a degenerative disease that could affect anybody. And what it does essentially is it starts to affect typically your limbs, your legs, your arms. So you lose physical ability, you lose your ability to speak, and you have significant challenges. Now, this guy Mike, he had a young family, 2 kids and a wife, and I went into the family home, and the challenges faced, just the weight of them on the family, it was just a very, very challenging situation, as you can imagine. And he was unable to carry on using his tablet or his laptop. He could speak to his wife; she could still understand the speech he had, but for me going into the room, I couldn't understand it. Anyway, so we started using some of the technology we have, and he actually ended up using a technology called eye tracking, whereby you have a screen in front of you, and as he was able to look at the different targets on the screen, he could form sentences to communicate, and he could also start to use the same technology as a computer to access websites and that sort of thing. So then you then, like, let's just think about that a little bit more. So communication is just absolutely a fundamental part of who we are, the ability to speak. There are disabled people, all ages, a huge variety of different disabilities mean that people are unable to speak. Sometimes it's a condition you're born with, sometimes it's something that affects you later in life. But I think as a broader society, it's often hidden from us. Very rarely see a communication aid user in public. And so I think that's one thing I would call upon people listening to this. Something you can do is understand what it means to use augmentative and alternative communication, and make sure your staff and your services you're offering can facilitate that. So an example of that could be if you run a call center, how would you react if there's no sound at the end of the line initially? And it maybe it's going to take 10, 20, 30 seconds for someone to form a message. And you need patience because it takes time, because someone might be, as I described, just using eye tracking to form that sentence. And then independence is another one of those words, giving people greater independence. What does that mean? So this guy that I was describing, Mike, he had a young family. Once we'd set him up with his technology, it was a really a fantastic session I had with him, a couple of hours. And he wrote me an email a few weeks later. And he said that following that, what he was able to do was start doing the weekly shop. It was Tesco's, not Sainsburys. But what you described with Sainsburys and wanting to make Sainsburys' online shopping experience accessible, keyboard shortcuts you talked about for eBay, that is absolutely essential to someone in his position to be able to do that, and to still have that role in the family and the way the family operating was crucial for him. And another example was doing the online banking for the family. That was really important to him. And a final thing, and this really illustrates what independence was all about. And he told me this, that he was able to buy his family Christmas presents online that he without them knowing. And again, that meant so much to him. So I think that's to try and illustrate what it can mean to the individual for companies and making their products, their services more accessible. I guess for Smartbox, we're here representing people with some of the most complex disabilities, but the solutions can be really quite simple. And what's been really great listening to people here is actually you're doing some of the things that are crucial. Hearing that eBay are making the website entirely keyboard accessible. What that means is that for people who can just literally press one button, maybe with their finger, maybe with their foot, called a switch, they'll be able to scan options on their screen and have full control of eBay through a combination of technologies. And that gives independence. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to link up all these different things for people with the most complex disabilities to be able to communicate, be understood, and live independently. So yeah, it's great being here. Great work, Mike and everybody. And that's Smartbox.
Thank you, Dougal. And last but not least, we have Richard Pash from Zurich.
and thank you. And wow, what an amazing set of examples we've had from everybody in the room today. I'm sure you, or at least for me, I've been busy scribbling down all sorts of different ideas that I've heard from around the table. So a big thank you, and thank you, Mike, for inviting us. We're an insurer, and I'm proud not just to be here representing Zurich, but I'm sure, again, like most of us in the room, there's an extremely passionate group of slightly crazed individuals working in every one of our companies who, for various personal reasons or family reasons, could well be working, thinking about disability or inclusion, and having a very strong opinion on it. So I'm here representing all of the folk in Zurich who've got those strong ideas and opinions. And three very brief stories just to round off the table. The first one is thinking about, and these are ones that have come to us as we've worked together. The first was thinking about how we're supporting each other. So many very specialist queries come up. I mean, you were just talking about some of them that need a lot of knowledge. How do you help your people understand more about how they can help their customers? That's a big problem. And so we've been working on both improving our network. We've got a network of about 50, 60 champions, as we call them, and helping them network, not just within Zurich, but actually around the communities, other businesses, and helping them learn more about how they can help customers. So I think we've heard lots of great examples, but that's quite a big thought in my mind about what we need to do better and how we can work together, is how we help our champions. We help them build their expertise. So that's one thought. The second area is around invisible disability, and we've heard a lot about that this morning. And so that's led us to train our entire business. So we've actually been through a program that we've called customer well-being. So we've stopped talking about vulnerability and started thinking about how do we help customer well-being in financial well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being, and social well-being. So loneliness, which is obviously a big problem affecting many of our customers, but isn't very visible. That only comes from when you don't just train your frontline teams, but you train everybody. And so we've been through that process over the last year, and making tools and other resources available to everybody who wants to think about that. It's generated a lot of energy and interest across the company. But I think it's everybody getting involved. I think you then get better answers actually for different customers. And then the last challenge which came up from this group, this passionate group of champions in Zurich, was, come on, surely we can do more for our customers. And we've heard lots of good examples this morning. But one recent one that we've done is, I'm sure for many of you, when you've made an insurance claim, often there's something horrible that's happened to you. It could be that you've been involved in your house has been flooded, or you've been involved in a car crash. And actually the money is really the last thing that you're thinking about. It's often the mental trauma that you've gone through when you've been involved either directly or indirectly in some sort of incident. So we've started offering all of our customers mental health counselling. It's actually a service that we provided for our own staff initially, but we realised actually it was going to be very important for our customers too. So we trialled this in one part of the business. It went very well, and now we offer it to all of our retail customers. So again, that generated a lot of interest and happiness amongst our champions. But there you go, 3 recent stories from Zurich on things that we're doing. But certainly I'll be taking a lot of the notes away from today and thinking about what we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, everyone. Wow, and wow, I think is what I've got to say. And I'm aware there are 3 organisations who are partners who are not in the room today. But I would like to say a huge thank you to those partners: Boots, Visit Scotland, and UK TV.
Hi, my name's Ben. I'm the HR Director for Boots UK and the Republic of Ireland. I'm really sorry I couldn't be with you in person today, not least because championing disability inclusion within our workforce is a huge priority of mine. And at Boots, we're also taking a holistic approach to supporting our disabled customers and patients from an online, physical accessibility and an inclusive customer service perspective. Our double award-winning customer service model, HUG, stands for Hello, Understand and Go the Extra Mile. In the case of providing support to a customer with a disability, whether it be visible or hidden, we know it's even more important to take the time to understand their needs in order to best support them. And we want everybody who shops with us to feel safe, calm and comfortable, which is why many of our colleagues have become dementia friends. People with dementia and their carers will find support and understanding at Boots, as we have at least one dementia friend in every store in the UK. Now, these team members have an understanding of what it can be like to live with dementia and can be a patient, friendly face to those living with or affected by dementia. Look out for Boots colleagues wearing Dementia Friends badges in our stores. We also have team members who are trained to provide help and support to customers with cancer. Our Boots Macmillan information pharmacists are pharmacists who've had extra training developed by Macmillan and Boots to support people affected by cancer. Their extra training helps them understand the needs of customers and patients with cancer and provide information about medication, as well as just being someone to talk to. We also have Boots number 7 Macmillan Beauty Advisors in our stores who understand the impact side effects of cancer treatment can have on how customers with cancer feel about themselves. They provide support and free beauty advice to help customers feel empowered and equipped to overcome some of the visible side effects of cancer treatment if they want to. We regularly update our hug training, and with customer inclusion high on our priority list, last year we included some foundational learning on unconscious bias and how, if unchecked, our assumptions can sometimes affect customer interactions and ultimately the service we provide them. We also introduced the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Scheme in all of our stores and provided our team members with associated training to help them understand more about some of the challenges our customers, patients and colleagues with hidden disabilities might be living with, as well as making some practical suggestions about how to meet their needs even better. And our inclusive approach isn't limited to our physical spaces. We're also working hard on our website accessibility to see how we can make boots.com even more inclusive for people with a disability by providing them with options to access the site in a way that works for them. And we hope to have some exciting new functionality early in the new year. Look, we know there's more we can do. So in line with our Purple Tuesday commitment to making disability awareness training available for all our team members, our next hug training update will build on the unconscious bias and hidden disability sunflower scheme training we've already delivered, with even more information to help our team members in stores support disabled customers to get the best support and service possible at Boots. So thank you, Mike, and your team at Purple for inviting us to be your health and beauty sector partner. And I'm delighted that we're going to be working together to raise awareness and improve the customer experience for all disabled people and their families, wherever they may choose to shop or seek advice and support. Have a fantastic Purple Tuesday. Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Marina Duduka and I'm Inclusive Tourism Manager for Visit Scotland. I'm hoping you're enjoying Purple Tuesday and I'm sorry I can't be there with you in person today, but I'm certainly there in spirit. I'd like to take a couple of minutes just to talk about a project that we kicked off about a year ago. We're working in partnership with an organisation called Access Able, a not-for-profit organisation who specialise in doing accessibility guides, and they have a team of auditors that actually produce these audits and then compile guides from those audits. The reason that we have worked with Access Able in this way is we want to create a series of 6 regional itineraries for Scotland, showcasing venues that have good accessibility and good services for disabled people across the piece. So we started off by identifying businesses that we felt had some facilities and services that were accessible, and we provided lists to Access Able, who then picked up with those businesses and did an audit. They compiled an accessibility guide for each of the venues and then set about writing itineraries for that particular destination. The first one that we produced, which has just been completed, is for Glasgow, and the information will be added to our website, visitscotland.com, just in time for COP26. By partnering with an organisation like Accessible, we can pool expertise and knowledge and also reach far more disabled people throughout the UK. Accessible have their own app which connects disabled people with venues and information on venues, anything from libraries, hospitals to the hospitality industry. So it was a no-brainer for us to work with an organisation like Accessible to get that content right and to be able to share it more widely. What I would recommend to any business is to look at the information that you hold online about your venue. How easy is it for someone at home to work out how accessible your particular physical venue is? In the planning stage of any visit, whether it be a holiday or just going to a new place for the first time, we all do a little bit of research on what to expect. But for some people, that research is really critical for them to be able to make an informed decision about whether a venue is going to be able to cater for their requirements or needs. So please, if I can share one learning from ourselves through this project, is to really work with others in the area of accessibility, pool your resources, ensure that you do create a good accessibility guide with accurate information about your venue. You don't decide if you're accessible, you just describe the facilities that you have within your venue. And then make sure that you have that information very, very visible on your website, ideally on the home page. And for us, what we're doing, we're creating these accessibility guides, adding them to our website, getting the word out, encouraging people to visit, but to be able to give them that sort of information and that knowledge in advance in the planning stage is really key for us. So we hope that from our experience that I've just shared with you today, it might inspire you to go off and work with a partner to create such a rich piece of content or an invaluable access guide for your customers. Thank you for listening.
Hi there, I'm Richard Watcham, the Director of Commissioning at the Broadcaster UK TV. It's part of BBC Studios. We own and run 7 channels, including Dave, Drama, Gold, and Yesterday, as well as our on-demand service UK TV Play. Now, each month, we reach around 30 million people across the UK, a broad and diverse audience that crosses generations, cultures, ethnicities, and of course includes many, many disabled people. I know that for too long, many of those people have not seen themselves reflected in the programmes that they watch, and we are determined to do something about that. We have a growing number of ongoing internal initiatives around how we engage, inform, and transform the makeup of our UK TV colleagues and their experiences. We're in the middle of refurbishing our entire office, putting accessibility at the forefront of every aspect of the design. We're taking expert advice to assess the environment to provide positive sensory experiences for staff and guests too. We've conducted an external disability review of our recruitment processes and are currently implementing the recommendations. And we're also disability confident committed, to name just a few. However, my role is predominantly to look after the original programmes that we make for our channels. And this is where I think we can influence most, through the programmes we transmit, the stories we tell, and those telling them. From our work with the Creative Diversity Network and their data collection tool, Project Diamond, we can get a much more accurate picture of those working in the TV industry. As a result, I can see how woeful the representation of disabled people remains, both in front of and behind the camera. To help behind the camera, we've introduced an access fund that producers of our shows can use to top up their programme budgets when hiring someone who has additional access requirements or needs further support that the company haven't allowed for. We want to make sure that it's a level playing field and that those producers have the resources they need to reach the targets that we've set for them. We're giving new voices and stories a chance to be heard through our Writers Initiative, developing sitcom ideas which will appear in a 4-part anthology series on our channel, Dave. From 1,600 entries coming from underrepresented writers, including those with disabilities, we've just identified the finalists and are about to go into production for transmission next year. When it comes to on-screen talent, we believe our responsibilities go way beyond our own output too. We need more disabled voices across British television. With that in mind, we recently held the first of a series of showcases for disabled comedians and invited many of the decision makers across the broadcast and production communities to come and see just how strong disabled comic talent is. Hosted by the effervescent Rosie Jones, I know that commissioners and producers alike were blown away by the quality of the stand-up from comedians, many of whom they'd only heard of for the first time when they entered the stage. I'm aware of a number of conversations between agents and execs that have started off the back of the event, and with further showcases planned for the near future, I hope that the next generation of comic talent will have disabled performers front and centre. All we're doing is raising awareness of extraordinary talent that is already out there. They just need to be seen and heard. So we are really pleased to be We Are Purple's media sponsor and to be marking Purple Tuesday today. I use the word marking, not celebrating, because it doesn't feel like we're in celebration territory yet. It'll take time, but we're going to keep trying to accelerate that change.
And together we have brought 15 partners together. And I was trying to do a mental calculation in my head as we were going around the room. And if we add up all the cumulative staff that work for your organisations, we are well beyond 1 million, 1.5 million staff. And actually, when we think about this issue and when we think about disabled customers, there are 3 interrelated issues. And that is the built environment, those traditional issues in a socially distant way. And it's really important that we continue to have a focus on that. And I think everyone woke up this morning and looked on social media at COP26 and saw the issue of the Israeli minister who was not able to access the building yesterday. And in 2021, those things are fundamentally have got to be eradicated. And we must maintain an absolute focus on doing that. But we are also living in a different world, accelerated by the pandemic and the lockdowns. But increasingly, we're using online services, and that is only going to go one way. And I was really struck by Google talking about how shortcuts and switches can suddenly enable individuals to have no access to have full access. And actually, if we are going to think about how do we redefine accessibility in 2021, then it's going to have to be the built environment in a new kind of post-pandemic world and everything that that means. It's going to have to be an increasing focus on the online environment. And what transcends everything else is bringing your staff on that journey and giving them the understanding, the knowledge, the approaches, and one word that I've heard quite a lot today, confidence. The confidence to see the disabled customer as first and foremost the customer who may or may not have additional needs. And this is absolutely critical. And we are really proud in terms of Purple Tuesday. And I think I said this morning, Purple Tuesday has gone from being a set of moments to a movement, and a movement that is about improving the disabled customer experience. And I'm really proud to be sitting with you all today, being part of that movement. And I'm really proud to be talking to all you listeners who are equally as committed as those in the room. And what I want to do now is open this up to questions. So I'm going to look to Lauren. Has there been any questions that come in, Lauren?
Yes, so if I ask you, then you can decide who to pose it to. So we've had, what do panelists think is the biggest challenge for business in implementing disability inclusive practices?
Right. So what do panelists think are the biggest challenges to organisations in increasing disability inclusion? Is there anyone who'd like to offer a starter for 10 on that question? Or do I just have to pick on you? Ross, well done.
Yeah, my first thought on that is fear of getting it wrong. I think not every business owner has personal experience of disability, whether that's in their family or their friend network. And therefore, a lot of the thoughts and ideas would be new to them on disability and accessibility. So I think naturally, you know, businesses maybe occasionally bury their head in the sand or shy away from it because of that fear of getting it wrong.
And I think that is absolutely right. And interestingly, and I talk about it a lot, the international sign for disability that has done so well worldwide, the wheelchair user, known everywhere, but that represents 8% of the population that we are talking about. And we've heard today that people with hidden disabilities comprise 80%. And so organisations and businesses have to reorientate their thinking about what they understand about disability and the assumptions that get made, and just kind of break that down and start again. So really well made. Anyone else like to contribute to that question? Challenges around disability inclusion. Over there, Shani. Yeah.
It's great that we are moving forward towards hiring more people, more disabled people and neurodivergent people. But probably one of the greatest challenges is retention, because it's very, very complicated to make sure that our environment and organization is fair and practically inclusive. And as we mentioned before, there is not really that much of our knowledge and best practices around how to train our managers and our colleagues how to treat others when we hire them, and how to be respectful and how to increase productivity and how to actually make new employees feel good and feel productive and emotionally included in the organization.
Absolutely. And can we come to Richard, please?
Great. Just to build on the first two comments, we're coming out of one of the biggest changes in COVID that I think many of us have seen for decades, and affecting how we all work, and actually making sure that this agenda is front and center of how we think about working together, and that we're building that into our approaches, not just in online working as with other groups of other employees, but also how we work in hybrid ways, how we come back into the office, and make sure that this whole idea isn't forgotten, is a very important one. And I think there is a danger that it could be forgotten. A little bit like the Prime Minister trying to arrive at COP. In times of change, often it's that these sort of issues can be forgotten. So it's a big one.
Absolutely. And over this side.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a couple of things as well. I think one of the challenges in terms of data, getting good data is also often very difficult in organisations. And I also think it's around flexibility. I mean, we've looked at in terms of neurodiversity and things like hiring people with autism and Asperger's, and we're very set in our ways, a lot of organisations, in terms of interviews. And for someone with autism, an interview is the worst way you can try and introduce them, and you can see what their capabilities are. So I think that's one of the challenges as well. We need to be more flexible, and we need to think outside the box in terms of how we do things and how we go about not just interacting with our customers, but in terms of our hiring and our internal processes.
Absolutely. And over to this side of the room, if that's okay.
I think what we found from our perspective is that the biggest challenge is the first step. So obviously as a recruiter, we find that there's a lot of subconscious stereotyping that our clients don't really realise the benefits that disabled people can bring to an organisation, and the fact that they're actually often more enthusiastic. We find that retention in our social care sector is higher because they're passionate and they're more understanding of what their customers need within the business. I mean, I myself suffer with an invisible disability. I have epilepsy, and when I was diagnosed, my doctor actually told me not to mention it when I was looking for employment, because it often puts people off. And I think that's the biggest thing that we can learn, is that you need to be more open-minded. You need to see the benefits that you can bring to an organisation, and you need to encourage disabled people not to hide it, because it should be an attribute.
Absolutely. So I think we need to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you ever so much, everybody. This has been a central part of Purple Tuesday, and it's really important that we demonstrate that Purple Tuesday is growing. It is a movement. It is a movement for businesses and disabled people together. And as we walked into the webinar today, we looked at all the figures on social media, and we had made it to #2 worldwide on Twitter. And I think that is a remarkable achievement going on in the world today. And I just, my final point really is that I was at a conference 3 weeks ago, and we had the ability to do a straw poll, and there was about 225 people in the room. And the question was, given the broad definition of disability, how many of you in this room either have a disabled relative or someone in your close network who is disabled? The research that we drew on 4 years ago, 5 years ago, said 50%. That straw poll 3 weeks ago said 92%. So when you think about disabled customers, 92% of the workforce in the country have someone they know who is disabled. And each and every one of us in our organisations need to think, if that was your aunt, nephew, niece, granddad, and they came into your business, would you want them to be treated any differently because they happen to have disability? And the absolute answer is no, which is why we all do what we do. And Purple Tuesday, this is a moment in time. We need to get bigger and better, and it needs to lead to absolutely fundamental and sustainable change. And on behalf of everyone at Purple, can I thank each and every one of the panelists for their contribution today. And for those of you listening, thank you and good afternoon.